Now is North Carolina Congressman Mark Harris. Congressman, good to see you. Tell me about this. What went on? What is the conversation underway right now? I mean, Capitol Hill will begin its end-of-year holiday recess sometime next week and will not return until January 5th. It looks like at this point we are ending the year with no resolution on the Obamacare subsidies. Why not? What's the conversation?
Well, I think folks have recognized that the COVID era really credits are just that. They were for COVID, and they were pandemic era credits. And the days of COVID are gone. And I think that really we're moving on. And one thing that we keep remembering, Maria, that I think is important is that we really believe that in 2024, the American people sent a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, and Donald J. Trump back to the White House to do government differently. And that means that we've got to be responsible. And all along, everyone knew that these COVID-era tax credits were going to actually expire in these subsidies. And the fact that they are about to expire is just a reality. And I think it's important for us to recognize that. And no Republican has supported those COVID-era subsidies before, and I think it's important that they're not going to do it now.
Yeah, no, I understand that, particularly as you all have been talking for so long about this push to try to get back to pre-COVID spending because of the $38 trillion in debt.
Yes.
But what would the GOP plan look like in terms of sending money directly to people to decide their own ways to actually have a health care plan in place? What is that plan?
Well, I think you're going to see some things in the next week that we're going to be talking about and putting them maybe even on the floor next week. And that is starting to see these association health plans the president had talked about that's going to open up more opportunities. It's going to open up really for us to look at the health savings accounts, or in this particular case, looking at choice accounts that folks would be able to establish. Again, you've got to remember Obamacare actually has been a failure at every level, and has allowed our insurance companies to enrich themselves in a humongous way. And when we look at these credits now, thinking about $400 billion over the next 10 years, if we were to somehow extend them, that's a serious problem. And so I do think when we start looking at the different options that we've talked about all along as Republicans, getting them into legislation immediately, hopefully next week, we'll see some of these things take place, and then other things in the first quarter of next year that I think that, again, the American people will be more pleased with, because Obamacare has just been a failure from top to bottom.
Meanwhile, we are looking ahead to the new year in terms of the impact of the big, beautiful bill, the major piece of legislation you all got over the finish line and President Trump signed into law back in the summertime. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt revealed that Americans should expect to receive an additional boost in their tax refund next year. Watch this.
Americans can also expect another boost to their bank accounts in the months ahead, as 2026 tax refund season is upon us after the holidays, and it's projected to be the largest ever, thanks to President Trump's passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. According to recent analysis from Piper Sandler, when Americans file their taxes early next year, their refunds could be about 1/3 larger than usual, or roughly an extra $1,000 per filer. That is money straight into the pockets of the American people.
Congressman, your reaction?
Well, listen, I think that's great news, and I think the folks should be excited about that and that report that Caroline gave. Listen, when we start seeing so many of these things that we have passed in the One Big Beautiful Bill, I think as your previous guest had talked about earlier this morning, so many of those things are going to take time to kick in, and I really believe that I'm very bullish on what we're going to see in 2026 because the principles are going to be in place. You need to remember in Trump's first term, we saw things really ramp up and really begin to just move forward in a tremendous way in our economy before COVID hit. And now I think those same principles are being put back in place in his second term, and I think we're now going to begin to see those things happen. And again, people have got to remember in the One Big Beautiful Bill, we kept those tax rates where they needed to be so that they didn't automatically sunset and jump up. And I think that's critical, and I think Americans can be encouraged by that.
So what would you want to point to as the most impactful piece in terms of an impact on the economy from that big, beautiful bill that we will feel in the first half of the year, next year?
I would have to say, when you stop and look at the number of regulations that have been cut back, and you begin to see energy prices beginning to drop, and I think you're going to begin to continue to see more things continue to drop at the grocery store and their prices as well. I just think that you're going to see the economy pick up. And again, holding these tax rates down, having no tax on tips, all of those things that are being put in place for our seniors as well, I think you're going to see all of those kick in. And I think you're going to see this, as we've heard, that this economy is going to take off like a rocket ship.
All right. We'll be watching all that, Congressman. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to be with you, Maria.
Mark Harris joining us, and to you. Quick break, and then the president.